Train by day, Kyle Wigginton podcast by night, all day.
I don't know. Just got another option out there to fuck around with.
I love having options.
Yes.
It's nice.
They're a lot better than no options.
I like making choices.
Yes.
Dusty Brown.
Hello.
Yeah, man. Choices, they're nice. You know, I think that's what life's all about. Life is about going, okay, these are my options. Which one is going to benefit me the best?
Yeah.
And I think there are a lot of people that get like stuck in that like loop of I can't make a choice.
I think it's like we were talking about earlier. It's a lot of anxiety driven. There's a huge anxiety driven mentality in a lot of people in this day and age. I'm one of them. You know, I'm talking to the choir here. Fear and this anxiety driven mindset of, you know, people. I don't know. It's just weird, man. Like I said earlier, the age of accountability in a lot of people has died, at least in America, because it's really hard to have meaningful, deep, real conversations more so today than it was when I was a teenager, man, getting high, you know, under the bleachers and all that. It's like, yeah, we're fucking teenagers getting high. But I mean, I remember having like real conversations with people back then, you know, and it's like now you say one thing or look a certain way. It's like, people just cut you out, or people just, or you cut them out, or whatever. It's just that it's like we've put this weird invisible barrier that like didn't exist, and like now it's there. That's
the beauty about the majority of the people that come to this bar is they're open to conversations. Like most people leave their political biases and shit at the door before they come in because they know they'll get run off.
Right.
So we talk about some pretty deep things here. And I think that's why I love this place a lot, because I can come here and express my weird fucking ideas.
Yeah.
And don't get run out of the place.
Well, I think every artist and hell, every human being needs a platform of some sort. You know what I mean? If it's their own little personal soapbox, cool. Fuck it. If it's a podcast, fucking awesome.
Why do you think that?
I don't know. I feel like, you know,
everyone does have a voice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And humans are social creatures. You know what I mean? Like this whole antisocial movement, I guess I've been pissing and moaning about for the last few minutes. It's like, I don't know. I remember how it used to be, in certain cities, in certain areas, certain regions. And it's like the last 10 years has just changed so much. But going back to what you were saying, like, I also like this bar. I mean, I've only been in here, and this is what, my third, fourth time, and I'm not working.
Yeah, we were working on stuff the first time. Yeah.
But, you know, I don't know. I dig the vibe here, even when the people were here, even when we were working, even when we were having like these little.
Well, a lot of the people that you're working with, they come to this bar also. So I mean, yeah.
So like it just, you getting a real taste of it.
Yeah. You know, the regulars were here, the comedians,
right,
like they hang out here all the time, which is another reason I love comedians, because they're the ones that I feel best. Like I can be unfiltered with.
Yes, they are the fucking best. I love them.
I really love those guys a lot.
Yeah, I've thought about doing the whole stand-up thing, and like I wrote a couple of pages of jokes one time. It was, I don't know, like 8 months ago, something like that. And I'm still sitting on them, but I'm just like, I don't know. We've talked a little bit, like, you know, I act, I direct, I do a lot of shit. And you put me in front of a camera, behind a camera, or on stage, and like that's the only time I feel alive. Mm-hmm. But the thought of going up and bombing and doing some fucking bullshit comedy when all these professionals are out here knocking the shit out the park, I'm like,
well, at least you're doing it the right way, okay? Yeah. Writing some jokes is the correct start. Did I tell you my story?
No, please tell me your story.
Okay, so, you know, we do stand-up night here on Tuesdays. Mm-hmm. And one night I was like, you know what? My old roommate was here, and he was fixing to do a film where he was a stand-up comedian. And I was like, you're fixing to do a film where you're a stand-up comedian. Let's do some time.
Yeah.
Like, let's just jump up there and do some time. I never wrote anything in my life. He never wrote anything in his life. So I, like an idiot, signed my name first, and then he signed his name right after mine. So I'm on stage first, and just a nightmare, dude, just bombing. Like the only one that's laughing is the host, and he's laughing because it's so fucking bad. And then finally I just walked off stage, but like mid performance, I see my roommate walk over and mark his name off, and I'm like, this motherfucker, dude.
Dirty.
Yeah, so at least you're doing it the right way. Write some material and get up. I think for me, I think it would be a good acting exercise to try it again.
Yeah. I know me. I know I will eventually do it.
Yeah.
Just to get up there and say I've done it. It's no different than when I made a movie, you know, and I'm not knocking anyone when I say this, but most filmmakers I've learned in my experiences, most of their directorial debuts are 5, 10, 15-minute short films, 1 or 2 actors, 1 or 2 rooms, 1 or 2 scenes. I was like, okay, let's challenge myself. Let's take, he's now my writing partner, and we're both co-founders of our production company, but Screaming Cicada Productions. But Chris Allen, I was like, okay, dude, so let's take your novel that you wrote a couple of years ago and transcribe it into a screenplay, and let's make a 90-minute fucking feature out of it.
That's what you did first?
That's the first thing I did.
Jesus
as far
Christ,
as a director,
man.
yeah. And, it ain't a home run. It's on Amazon Prime. It's cool as shit.
What's it called?
It's called Jige. It's a Haitian word. It's Jije. It means to judge.
Okay.
So like we've taken, in that realm, I'll say we've kind of taken a chunk of like the Judeo-Christian afterlife and kind of replaced it with this like Haitian voodooism type stuff. We hit on it. It's way deeper in the book, but when you got a 600-page book, you got to make 90 minutes out of, you got to
leave
chop.
some things out.
You got to chop. Like there's characters in the book that didn't even make it into the movie because we just either due to time, budget, whatever, it wasn't feasible. So
yeah, that's a ballsy move, dude. 90 minutes on your first one.
Yeah. And it's been on Amazon for about a year now.
Mm-hmm. Did you edit it and stuff yourself too?
I didn't edit it. No, what I did was I sat with me and Chris both. We sat with our editor. Shout out to Eddie DePue. He didn't sleep. He edited our film for a while and like chose to not have sleep. Yeah. He was definitely paramount in us completing that and getting it the way we wanted it to.
That's the beauty of how films work nowadays is you can pretty much do it all in house.
Yeah.
It's just a skill set now. You have to, if you have the right skills, you can pretty much do it all in house because like the software's out there, the equipment's pretty cheap.
Well, it's like anybody that has one of these, can technically be a filmmaker now.
Yeah, there's been huge films made on iPhones.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like I've got the S23, the Galaxy S23. Mm-hmm. And when I got it when it came out, I got it because of the camera, obviously. And yeah, dude, I've shot some of my auditions on this phone. I've done promotional shit for bands, like over in Mobile and stuff like that. Yeah, it serves its purpose, and like you said, art in 2024, right? It's like now we're in this place of everything is at our fingertips. Like everything is at our fingertips. I mean, technically, if I wanted to, I could make a few phone calls and project coordinate, so to speak, and I could get an animatronic, whatever the fuck I need for this horror flick, or hey, I need to cyberpunk this car out. Okay, well, let's fucking get to it. I know a mechanic. I know a guy who's a prop master. I know me and what I'm capable of doing and the ideas that I can spew out of the mouth hole and all that jazz.
I mean, that has a lot to do with how well you're connected, and you've been doing this for several years, right?
About 8 years, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I
think I'm going on year 9 now. I've lost count. But
yeah, I think I'm in about 10 years now. So I mean, the connections that we've made along the way, that's why we can do things like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you right now, half the people I've fucking met in the last 3 years alone that I've been doing this, like versus where I was when I started. I was exclusively an actor. It was very weird. Like the universe kind of showed me in the very beginning, like I was not going to go. It was after my first divorce. I was just like, fuck the world and everybody in it. I'm done with this. I'm done with that. I'm miserable. I hate everything. Everything's going wrong. And then my folks show me this Facebook post that's like, hey, there's this movie that they're casting for. And I'm like, I'm not going. I'm not even going to fucking do it. And like my parents basically like were my cheerleading squad / let's make sure we drive his ass there and back type thing. Mm-hmm. I walked in, I did the audition. It was like a cattle call type thing, like a bunch of people in there and all that shit. I come up and I read the lines for the lead character, and like the writer, the casting director, like the director and the cinematographer all at the table, and their eyes just go really wide. And I'm just like, I guess that's a good thing. and I do my bit. I say my goodbyes. I leave, and they're like, "Can I get ready to leave?" They're like, "Can you come back tomorrow for another reading?" I was like, "Yeah, absolutely."
Good. It's a good sign.
Oh, it was definitely a good
What
sign.
movie was that? Did you actually get the part?
Yeah, I ended up getting the lead role.
So
Like I walked in on the second day, and they're like, "Oh, there's our Aster. Come on over here. We need you to read with people." And I'm like, "What the fuck is going on?"
was it Matt Morgan doing the casting? He did a lot of those cattle calls.
No, I've submitted for a couple of his casting, but no, I've either have seen them and I've already been booked on something, or I'll submit and haven't booked that one yet, but it's coming. But yeah, it's lost my train of thought. Maybe the seltzer shit's starting to kick in.
I told you, man. I told you, dude. Like those things, those are game changers, man.
Dude, it's good. I'm kind of glad I went with the caffeine free one.
Yeah, the caffeine ones are fucking weird. I actually had the guy that owns this company on the podcast.
Nice.
Yeah, he lives in this. It's strangely enough, he lives in this neighborhood, and also the other THC seltzer, Louis. Which
I remember you talking about Louis. Yeah.
That's my personal favorite.
Mm-hmm.
This is a good one. That's my personal favorite, Louis. They both came on the podcast, and they're really cool dudes, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool just to like have people in the neighborhood that are starting businesses like this.
Yeah. Well, there's a cat over in Mississippi that 10, 12 years ago ish, he was just pulling a trailer with his like CBD and trying to promote proposition this, proposition that, and everybody thought he was fucking nuts. And now he's got 5-6 dispensaries, and motherfuckers got vending machines where you can walk up and be like, "Yeah, I'll take a pre-roll."
Where's that at?
It's in Mississippi.
They have vending machines in Mississippi.
He's got at least 2 that I've seen.
Like, I need to get in contact with this guy. I'd love to like pick his brain, because like I feel like that would do good here. Yeah.
Well, that was another thing is like, where me and him are in talks of like doing some business together.
Dude, we start a vending machine company and sell pre-rolls.
Well, it's like, dude, vending machine companies in general, like if me and you went out and just said, "All right, fuck it, we're going to go in business together. We're going to spend $3,000 on X amount of vending machines and the contents that go in them, whatever the fuck that is." But if you have pre-rolls,
yeah,
we would be restocking those fucking vending machines every other day.
All the time. Yeah. Vending machines crush anyway. So yeah, if you have some things in there people want besides just sugar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Me being me, I would definitely have like the top row of like Dr. Pepper cans.
Oh yeah,
and then the rest could be whatever the fuck we're selling.
Yeah, it's funny. The last film that we worked on together, Dusty and I, one of his stipulations coming on set was, "I need Dr. Pepper there," and I was like, "Done. You'll have Dr. Pepper there the whole time."
Yeah, I've managed to establish a couple of staples that come with the identity of Dusty Brown.
Dude, the Dr. Pepper's a good one, man. Dr. Pepper's good. I rarely drink them. I actually had one of your Dr. Peppers that day. Yeah, I had one.
It was good, wasn't it?
But I did stash you one in the back too.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I did.
I remember because I came up to you and I was just like, I had my hands out like this. I was like, it's that time.
Yeah, there was a guy that came and asked me for one, and I was like, "Bro, I can't give you this last Dr. Pepper. Our sound guy needs that shit."
That's appreciated. That's appreciated.
Yeah. How did the last film you did go? You were telling me about it the day.
Yeah. So I did 2 lead roles back to back within like weekends back to back. The first one was No Cure for the Love Jones. It's a UNO student film directed by Evelyn Lake. She cast me as the lead. Shout out to her. She's probably one of the best directors I've worked with because she's an actor first. So
she knows the.
Yeah. And I took that approach too. I started acting before I directed and all that. So I can relate to the actor's director vibe. Like
same thing I did. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you understand. Mm-hmm. It's in my opinion, it's my favorite form of relationship between an actor and a director is when they've been on the other side of the camera too.
Yeah. I don't know why they don't, are they required to take an acting class if they're going to school for filmmaking? Because I think they should if they're not.
I have no idea because I've worked on either as a cast member or a crew member for the last month. I've worked on 3 or 4 student films, and a lot of similarities, but there's a lot of differences at the same time. And kudos to every fucking film student out there on this planet. I chose the Tarantino approach or the indie approach of just like, fuck it, I'm just going to go start working on sets and start auditioning and start trying to get my toes wet and this, that, and the other. And, I've learned a lot doing that. Don't get me wrong. But like, dude, these film students, man, good fucking God.
Well,
dude.
they learn the proper way to do things.
They learn everything
Still,
proper.
you can still get things done.
Yeah,
the
of course.
independent way. But I mean, at the same time, like there are things that Chance knows now because he's in film school that I don't know. So it's kind of fun to work with him because he's teaching me the things he's learned and I'm teaching him the way that I do things.
Yeah.
So
we just finished his pickup day yesterday.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did it go good?
It went real good. It was a 9-hour shoot, which, you know, in film world, to me personally, 9 hours is like 30 fucking minutes.
Easy
It's
day.
just like, boom, done.
For the average person that doesn't know, 12 hours is typically a day on set, and it usually goes longer than that.
Correct. Like there's been times where I've been on set for 20 hours, 21 hours, I think 21 hours is my, my record, if you will, of how long I've been an actor on a set. Now that was a 48-hour film festival thing. So you got 2 fucking days to cast, shoot, pre-production, post-production, edit.
I love those.
2 days. Dude, it puts you in like this weird, like good, weird, like creative vein.
Well, you have to get something done.
Yeah. And there ain't no time for bullshit either.
No.
There ain't no time for bullshit.
Yeah. The past few of those I've done, like everyone that's on our team now is been in the industry for 10 plus years. So we get it done. Like we all have our roles. We know what roles we're playing. We get on set and we go.
Yeah.
And we're making some really good stuff now, man, with those.
Yeah.
I'm ready to do like a bigger film with those guys. I actually had Jared, one of my really good director buddies, on the podcast a few weeks ago. I think we're fixing to start working on something. It's going to be fun.
Hell yeah. I was talking to Chance yesterday during the pickup day, and we've chatted a few times. Thank you. Chatted a few times since I ran sound for him. And we're gonna possibly do some things together. He may write a part for me in this heckler thing if this thing pans out. So
I like his idea for it, man.
I do too.
Yeah, he's got a really cool idea. Hopefully, I think that approach will work too. Hopefully, the short version turns out well, and then when he makes the longer version, I think everybody will. Because I've seen the growth the comedians have had. Because none of those guys are actors,
right?
But we've done 3 short films now, plus the heckler, and in each one of the short films that we've done, they've grown like crazy.
I was about to say you saw progression.
Yeah. And I actually told them that the other day too, so I don't want to get their heads too big. But, but no, they're doing great. So it's going to be fun to see if that actually turns out. But I think that's the way to go, man. Like if you look at It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, it's kind of the same approach they took. 3 guys wanted to make that show, and they filmed like a pilot in their house, and then it spun into what it is now.
Yeah. Shit, dude. I would love to do a fucking pilot in my bedroom and then have Danny DeVito get cast season 2, or, fucking Hugh Jackman, or just some out there A-lister that you'd never expect to be on there. And it's just like, nope, he's part of the show now.
I think it's only a matter of time, man. It's with the arts, you just have to stay in it long enough.
Oh yeah.
And you'll eventually hit the big one.
There's this meme that I always reference. I fucking hate most memes in general, but, there was this one where you got 2 dudes, one on top of the other, and they're both digging tunnels. And the guy on the bottom just took his last swing, and it's a picture of him walking away. And like right behind, if he had taken one more swing, there's all these diamonds. And then the guy in the tunnel above is actually in the process of taking that last swing where all the diamonds are going to bust out. And the point of the meme is like, don't give up. Essentially, like you never know, you could be that one stroke away or that one step away from that thing. And that's something that I kind of, I guess, live by, you could say. It's like, my kids are 10 and 12, and I got a boy and a girl, and they both, since the ages of like 4 and 5 and 6, they were just like, Daddy, don't ever stop. They were like, don't ever stop your dreams.
That's awesome that they were telling you that.
Yeah, at that young. Like, and don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to sound like one of those parents. Like, my kids are legitimately like advanced placement type shit, So I talk to them like I talk to you right now.
Yeah, I think that's the key to getting them to that level is you actually speak to them as an adult whenever they're kids.
Don't get me wrong, I let them be the fucking kids that they are, and I love it. But I just I don't know. I want to prepare them for things I wasn't prepared for. So.
Absolutely. I have a friend back in Arkansas. She's one of my best friends, Mindy Van Kuren. Shouts out Mindy. Love the baby. But her kids, she took the same approach. Whenever they were young, I've known them since they were super young. She spoke to them as an adult. And they were the most adult kids I've ever been around in my entire life. And I love my niece and my nephew to death, but my family babies them.
Yeah.
So that's the mentality that they have. Because you grow them. They grow to your level, I should say.
Yes.
They grow to the level that you let them grow to.
I completely agree with that. I was in a past life, I was in a relationship, and I was just seeing how different I raised my kids versus how she raised hers.
So this is not the one you had the kids with?
No. This was more recent, but it doesn't exist anymore. But the gist of what I'm getting at is just seeing different parents or kids raising kids. That's all.
Absolutely.
That's all we fucking are, man. We don't know what we're doing. We think we do. And then we see shit that didn't work in our childhood. And we're like, okay, well, I'm not going to do that. Let's try this. That blew up in my face. That worked. Cool. Okay. It's trial and error. Right. Mm-hmm. But, I'm not, how can I word this? I see a lot of different parent styles out there, and I am not getting on a pedestal about mine by any means, but it's like there's things that I've learned that works for me being a father, and there's things that does not work for me being a father. There's things that work for my kids being my kids, and there's things that doesn't work with them. And it goes back to trial and error, but I keep them present, and I stay in that unit with them during that time, mentally, emotionally, physically. I'm there with them. I'm there to teach and explain and build upon, where I see some parents, they're just like, fucking go, just go do. Or
like have an iPad.
Yeah.
That's a sad way the world is
sit
today,
down
man.
and shut up for 5 hours.
Yeah.
It's like, nah, man. And don't get me wrong, I've let my kids spend the entire day on Fortnite. I've let them have those type of days, but I'm always like, all right, you already know your daddy's a hippie. We're about to go into the woods and
go out and explore the woods.
Yeah, man. I'm going to learn about the life cycles of fucking trees and whatever the fuck else, and mushrooms and fucking bark. Like my kids are they love that shit, but it's because I helped show them that.
Yeah. When I was young, I wasn't like learning about those things. My parents didn't go outside with me. Like they basically said, go outside and explore the world.
Same.
And I think that's why I am the way I am today. Because today, like I still explore, I still experiment with life. But yeah, back then I would just go out in the woods and I would be gone all freaking day long. I'd be building little booby traps, building forts. I remember one day
stabbing cousins with sticks.
Dude, my cousins were a fucking nightmare. I'll never forget those guys too. They were all older than me. I was the baby of the family, and they would just beat the hell out of me. That's probably why I look like this today. They would beat the shit out of me every holiday we had.
All of this is trauma bond.
Yeah. Well, no, they would beat me up every time. And it was before I hit puberty. And then after I hit puberty, since I was the baby, they like all left. And because I was looking forward to hitting puberty and then just going back and just wrecking these son of a bitches. And then the family kind of like stopped going to family functions. And I was like, God damn it.
So you're like, I'm just going to beat the shit out of these nerds at school.
No, I was, I think I took that on the college people that I ran across. Yeah, I was a nightmare in college, man. I feel sorry for anyone that came across me in college. I apologize.
I also feel sorry for anyone that came across me in the very short window of college I was in, falling in bushes and puking on frat porches and shit.
For me, it was fighting.
Yeah. Mine was just getting too fucked up, and
I would do that too.
Being like, don't get me wrong, people have told me I'm fun to be around with when I like drink and shit, but like drinking was never my poison. It was always a occasional social thing type thing. Like I'm not one of those guys that's ever going to be like in a bar 24/7. You know what I mean? Might pop in once a week type thing or once every other week, but like I drink socially more than anything.
Yeah, same here. I rarely drink, even though I work at this fucking place. You'll very rarely see me with alcohol.
Right.
Yeah. But when I do, I go.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. If I'm going to drink, I'm going to get drunk. I don't understand. I don't like the taste of alcohol. I like the feeling of it, but I don't understand how some people like the taste of it.
I can't do beer.
No.
Dude, I've tried like 50 different beers, and the one that I came the closest to finishing, like 3/4 of a bottle, was Longboard from, it's like a Hawaiian lager or some shit.
Never heard of that.
I found some in the States, like this 48, but I discovered it over in Hawaii.
Makes sense.
Yeah, me and my dad cracked open a couple, and he liked it because he likes beer, and I've never liked beer. And I like I said, I got about that much of it done, and I was like, you want to kill this? Because it's okay. It's the closest thing to okay, but no, I prefer. I like my rum, man. I like my Captain Morgan.
I don't even get that, man. That
really,
yeah, that turns my stomach when I hear you say that.
Really,
Captain Morgan spice rum,
dude. I got this bottle of 100 proof. Oh,
no, that's insane,
dude. It's so
no,
good.
Thanks. I've actually been making mead too. You know this.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, I fucking love mead.
Well,
I love it.
If I would have known that, I would have brought you some today because I have bottles at the house. Because I said I don't drink it. I just enjoy the process of making it and experimenting with the different types of mead.
Dude. Just schedule me for another guest spot and bring it next time.
Yeah, I have some blackberry sage mead.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I haven't tried it yet, but I think it's good.
I'll taste test it for you.
Yeah, I have apple cinnamon, blackberry sage, a couple other things, but I have something I'll tell you off site that it's my plan. I think did we not talk about it? We might have talked about it then. I'll tell you about it.
Yeah,
later.
you can recap me. I'm sure we did.
Yeah, it's a weird look. Like I said,
I forget like 90% of what I'm doing outside of working when I'm working.
Well, and when you're working, you're trying to focus on something else. So if I was telling you some obnoxious shit, you're probably like, I'm just gonna ignore this.
Just gonna mute you in my headset while I'm holding the boom.
Just let him keep talking. I'm just gonna mute. Yeah. So you were telling me about like you're into like the survivalist aspects of things.
Oh, yeah.
And like how detailed do you want to go into that?
As detailed as you want.
Yeah. Like do you see the world going to a negative situation where you have to use those skills?
Yes and no, in the sense of like we're kind of already there. If you look at the increase of homesteaders and tiny home people and, you know, van life, this and, you know, the nomad thing that I'm doing this year. Like,
what is that? Can you explain that?
Just traveling the whole year, just following gigs. And then anytime I'm not following gigs, if I'm not spending time with my kids, I'll be out exploring the world. Just, you know, there's places I've been to 20, just shy of half the states and 4 other countries by the time I was 15. So like, I've always been a traveler. I've always had that wanderlust. I mean, hell, even in my adult life, I've never stayed in one place for more than 2 years at a time. And like the last couple of years, I haven't stayed anywhere longer than a year. And it's just,
how do you do that? Because I can't do that.
It's a good, I haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah.
I just know that it makes me happy and it feels right. That's the simplest way I can put it. But there's this, if you want to get deeper on it, there's this constant tethering pull with me, I guess you could say.
To New Orleans?
Right now, yeah. But I know that wouldn't be a permanent thing either, because it's like, I'll put it to you this way. It's like I follow universal breadcrumbs. When the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, when something presents itself to me and I can tell it's a breadcrumb moment, it gives me 2 options, just like anybody else. I can either follow those breadcrumbs or I cannot. I always follow the breadcrumbs.
But how do you tell?
It's a gut intuition.
Can you give me an example? Type
thing. Yeah. Okay. So I think it was about roughly a month ago. Actually, here's the best one I can give you. So I had 3 heavy life changes that happened this past November, and I'm laying down in bed, literally in the immediate aftermath of all these things happening. And I'm just like, what the fuck's going on? What the fuck's going on? God damn, I'm just so fucking pissed. Like, fuck, you know, it's like, what am I going to do now? And then like this voice that clearly wasn't mine, but it just like came in and it almost even felt like I was physically getting hit on the right side of the head with this notion. It was like, might be a good idea for you to have a script ready by February 2024. And I'm like, what the really? That's what I'm getting right now? Like what after all this shit that I just fucking went through, that I'm in the thick of it, God damn it, mother, you know, I'm just angry, dude. And I'm really fucking Zen guy. So like when I lose my shit, it's like I lose my shit, but I keep it contained and away from everybody to the best of my abilities. And, so I'm like, okay, universe, why the fuck are you telling me February 2024? Why in the fuck are you? And I just kept for like a week. I was just like, why? And then finally I was like, all right, fuck it. You know what? Clearly you're not going to shut up about it. it's a breadcrumb. Fuck it. I'm going to follow it and see what happens. I had 2 lead roles, 4 gigs in total. Couple of pickup days, this podcast. Me and my writing partner have got 4 scripts in the works. 1 is in completion. Second one is near completion.
You got stuff for me to cast for it?
Mm-hmm. I can put you in some shit, dude. But like legit, like I love like doing this type of shit and then being like, hey, bro, I wrote this little part. Why don't you come over for a couple of days? You know what I mean? I love doing that shit. We'll definitely we'll fuck around and find out for sure. But you know, all of that I just stated, February 2024. All of that happened in February 2024.
So when did the
Notion happen?
Yeah, when did that happen?
November.
Okay, so that was back then?
Yeah,
okay.
like November of last year. So a few months back.
And did you start working on the script as soon as you got that message?
It was about a week later due to, you know, real world, what I was dealing with. But like once I met up with Chris, I was like, look, here's the situation. Here's what's going on. But here's what I really want to talk about. I was like, we need to film some shit. We need to write some scripts, you know, and he knows my eccentric belief system, if you will, compared to most people. So he doesn't really question shit. He's just like, all right, if we need to write a script, let's start writing a script. And like I said, now we got 4 in the works.
I like that, dude. You said a lot there. So there's a lot to unpack.
Yeah. Take your time.
Well, no, like, so I think I've had moments like that in my life too. Where I was just having like very strong emotions. We were talking about emotional regulation earlier.
Yes.
And I think one of the ways that we regulate our emotions is by funneling them into projects as artists.
Absolutely.
So I think that you were maybe dealing with like those heavy emotions and whatever that higher self of yours is. I heard a great explanation of this the other day, the higher self, like what that is.
Yeah.
Is in your mind, you are this set of this set of rules that you know, okay? But you also know that there are things you could do to benefit your life in a better way.
Right.
You just don't do them because you're setting this structure. So the higher self is actually you knowing these other things you could do to benefit your life. So whenever you can break out of this box that you have yourself in and you start utilizing those things to benefit your life, that's you listening to the higher self. Yeah. So you knew in your mind that this is the next step I should take to help my industry. Yeah. And so that's kind of why you started going that direction. But it's kind of cool that people can break out of those zones because the way the brain structure with myelination, that's where your pathways get they get these fat deposits on them. So it makes those electrical signals travel faster, which also traps you in that box. So the fact that you were able to break outside of the box and start doing something brand new is something that people have a hard time doing.
I agree. And I firmly believe that when you're in your shittiest situation or your current shittiest situation, because you're going to have a whole life of shitty situations, just like you're going to have a whole life of beautiful ones. But it's going back to what you're saying about the brain, like our brains, in my opinion, are our best friends and our worst enemies in the sense that our brains do not like change. Our brains like structure, routine. So it's like, Dusty, why are you about to fucking speak on a podcast? What if people start talking shit about you? What if you say something stupid? That's what your brain does until you're like, shut the fuck up for a second. I'm going to go step out in faith, in trust, in whatever, and just in circumstance and just see what happens.
So that's what a normal brain says? Because my brain says if they start talking shit, eat them.
My brain says don't shit where you eat. But it's just one of those things. I've really taken the last 3 to 5 years of my life and just internalized, like not selfishly, but it's like when I have a situation, whereas when I was younger, I would instinctively react or react out of emotions, and I still do that to this day, but it's, like I said, I'm way more zen today than I was back then.
You think that comes with age?
I think it comes with age to a degree. I think a lot of it comes from just surviving experiences, right? Man. Like real talk, like we were talking about the whole survival mentality. Like I know where every exit in this building is, it's just, I don't go into like when we wrapped at the pickup day for Chance's short film yesterday, we went over here to Dat Dog. I didn't sit with my back to an exit. I made sure I could see the exit. Now, granted, that's got a big outside over there, smaller inside, very easy to see your ins and outs, but that's how my brain is. And it's like, part of that is from traumatic experiences of my past. Part of it is just how my brain works anyway. It's like, okay, if I gave an example to a buddy of mine, cause I'm a zombie purist, like in the sense of like George A. Romero. Like I like the older type zombie instead of they think and they talk and they can run, and like certain ones are cool, but you know, I'm more of a purist when it comes to that. And like I had a friend years ago that like, we're in like a fucking church lobby and shit, you know, it's like, what would you do right now if I turn into a zombie and like, there's nothing here. Like, what would you do? I was like, immediately right now, like if you turn into a zombie, you'd lunge at me and then I'd grab your shirt, pull it over your head, spin you around, drop you down and curb stomp you. You'd use a fucking t-shirt. Anything is a weapon. I can make my fucking nectar of the gods, Dr. Pepper. I can make this bottle a weapon if I actually have to. You know what I mean? It's weird. I don't like being that way. I don't like constantly being in survival mode like that. But at the same time, I'm appreciative because it also has opened up things creatively for me.
What do you mean?
Understanding how to pull off that fucking shot.
Oh, yeah.
While simultaneously dealing with one or two or maybe three dysfunctional personalities on set alongside that, you know, and you know better than anyone else how a film set runs and how hectic and crazy it can get. And
I can see where that would help with fight scenes too. Like if you're constantly visualizing those things, that means like you have like just a plethora of fight scenes in your head.
It's funny you say that. I'm writing a fucking fight scene right now. And it's going to be like a 3-page thing, 4-page thing. By the time I'm done with it, it's going to be like the equivalent of a short, but it's really more of like a teaser scene with the intent of being like, okay, I made this kick-ass fucking scene with little to nothing. So let's talk investments. Let's talk producing. It's like, I can produce, I can physically get everyone here and have them do the jobs. Now pay me, Mr. Money Man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, we'll make something bigger.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because that fight scene is actually a piece of what I want to be a minimum 90-minute feature, maybe 100 minutes.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, especially with the way that movies are going right now, where their big budget things are just crashing hardcore.
Yeah.
So investors are going to start looking to indie people that can do the job and do something really nice. And if you can actually have a piece to showcase them, like that's what they want to see.
Well, eventually I want to get to the point where it's like, whether I've got clips or scripts, you know, I'm at the pitch meeting. It's like, oh, you're done with horror. You don't need another horror. Okay. How about sci-fi?
Yeah.
Oh, you like it, but you want, what else do I have? Romance comedy.
I like it, dude. You're going the right way for sure.
Action adventure, you know?
Yeah, that's the way to do
something that you would probably cast The Rock in, you know? It's just, that's the goal is I want to be able to
build a body
when they're hungry, I want to be able to feed them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that when I'm hungry, I can get fed.
I can
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the collaborative process of filmmaking. Like I tell people who are out in the quote unquote real world with the Joe jobs and all that, you know, it's like you run a restaurant, you run a bar, you run a business. It's like we do that every fucking time we're on set, especially those of us that are in the director chair. You know, if I'm not directing or acting, or doing sound, I'm usually like a first AD, second AD, you know, assistant director type.
And it's with new people that you don't know
all the time.
Yeah. So you're having to learn people's personalities on the fly and navigate that aspect of it too. Whereas most time when you're running a business, you already know the people you're around.
Exactly. So it's like, it'd be like the equivalent of like, all right, we're working at McDonald's, but in 3 hours, we got to do a location change and we're going to move this whole fucking spot and all these 50 people working, and we're going to bring them anywhere from 3 to 15 minutes this way, but it's going to feel like an hour because we're caravanning with all this equipment, all these people. You know, people don't think that way when they think of film,
They just don't understand the process.
And they shouldn't. They're not in it. You know what I mean? It's one of those things, okay, there's a TV right in front of us, man. If you put Blade Runner on this fucking TV, I'm going to be like, sorry, I'll get back to you. You know what I mean? Like, it's just one of my favorite movies. But
yeah, I think it's funny whenever a new person comes on set and they see us filming a scene, and then we shoot the scene like, you know, from 10 different angles, and the actors do the same scene, you know, every single time. And it's like, does that not get boring? And it's like, but it does get a little boring, but it's also the process. Like the end goal with this is what's going to be, is why we're doing this over and over again. Because when you're cutting, you're going to have to cut around all these different things.
Exactly. And I know a lot of people who are not in film don't understand that type of thing, but it is beautiful to, I remember being a kid dissecting movies and doing the whole Mystery Science Theater shit with my dad, you know, watching all these great fucking films. And I remember being 6 years old and I'm watching the movie Hook with Dustin Hoffman and Robin Williams.
Great movie.
Yeah, fucking phenomenal. When Tinkerbell's having him hold the teddy bear and trying to get him to remember that he's a dad and he's got this whole other life. He's like holding the teddy bear and he's like, Teddy, daddy, I'm a daddy. Right then and there at 6 years old, I was like, I'm going to be an actor and I'm going to be a father and my firstborn will be a boy. 6 years old. That's what it was. And then fast forward to the age of 23, I become a father. My firstborn's a son. Fast forward a couple more years. Very first film, anything, indie or otherwise, very first thing I submit for, I get the lead role. And it was like, the universe was like, people call it a lot of things, but you can create your own fucking world if you really want to, Dusty Brown. You know what I mean?
It's interesting you say that, because like I had no clue I was going to get anywhere in film whenever I was that age. Like, I think I was in my 20s before I was like, you know what, maybe I'll try this. So it's kind of cool to meet people who knew from like day one, you know, I'm going to do this. Do you think you manifested that, or do you think that you just kind of like saw the universe had a plan for you and then went in that direction?
The latter. Because, like, don't get me wrong, I knew that's what I wanted to do. I mean, my very first time acting ever, I was dressed as a snake in first grade, and I'm the only one saying my S's right. And so one kid goes a step over my line, and I just repeat my line louder. It's like, I'm doing this the right fucking way. It doesn't matter if I'm 6 or not, you know? And it always felt natural.
Dude, when I was 6, I don't even feel like I was here. Like when I hear people say things like that, I'm like, how do you remember these things? Like I don't think I actually fully checked into this world fully until I was about 26.
Yeah. I wish I could say that, and I'm a little jealous of you for that, because I'll put it this way. I was too dark skinned for a lot of people in the first 10, 12 years of my life. So I had to learn the real world fairly quickly.
Dark skinned?
Yeah. Like, I know I sound like a white guy, and to some people I look like a white guy.
Look like a white guy to me.
I have been too dark for some people, too white for others. Like, too pretty for some people, too ugly for others.
I have that problem.
Too loud.
I understand that.
Yeah, of course. You know, you got to work with what you got. Hence the mirror right behind you.
Oh, dude. So I can turn around and check myself out.
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
GQ,
had a little something in my beard, but we're good.
GQ.
But yeah, so I dealt with a lot of assholes growing up. I just dealt with a lot of people that just couldn't see past that. You know what I mean?
You think that like that made you who you are today? Like that? I would say that about me too. Like when I was in high school and middle school, I didn't hit puberty until I was like my junior year. So I had a really squeaky voice and I was like shorter than everyone. And then like over the summer of my junior and senior year, I shot up to be this height right here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just like overnight changed, but for up until my junior year, I got picked on a lot. So which is probably another reason that I have these fucking things, but I think that the world does. I think it shapes you.
These fucking Brownings.
What's that?
Brownings, the big old fucking World War II guns.
What do you mean?
Your guns.
Oh, my guns. Yeah. No,
sorry, we'll call them M16s.
Yeah.
Something that somebody would get.
M16s, yeah, Brownings. But no, I think the world does have a way of shaping you into who you are as an adult. Well, it absolutely does.
Yeah.
But the real question is why? You know, is it already a pre-planned set the universe has? Like were you and I supposed to go through those difficult times in our life so that we could be brought together in this moment?
Right.
You know, was I supposed to meet Fiona on set and then, you know, maintain a relationship with her and then she connect me with you one day? It's so weird how all these webs come together.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny you say webs because like I think of it like this. You know, a lot of people will say that time is linear, that it's a line. Some people say it's a circle. I see it more like veins and kind of like in the sense of, okay, I could have just hypothetically, I could have woke up sick as a dog this morning and messaged you and been like, hey, I can't make it. And then this wouldn't happen. It would be rescheduled, whatever, but it wouldn't, this moment right here would not happen.
Right.
However, this moment is happening. But that makes me think that, okay, because there's a moment happening here, just like Schrodinger's cat, that moment is simultaneously not happening.
Like a different point in the universe?
Yeah, alternate timeline, if universe. You will, or however you want to word it. Multiverse cinematically or not, you know? But I don't know. I think our decisions, I guess the best way I can try to answer that question is that I think it's kind of a blend of both, man. I think they're kind of going back to the whole higher self thing. There are things that have happened in my life where I am just going through the motions, doing my regular routine of the day. And it's like, stop what you're doing and think about this because I'm putting this in your brain right now. And it's going to stay there until you fucking do something about it or until you don't.
Do you ever tell it to shut up?
Oh, dude, I'm always telling it. I tell the universe to shut. The other day I was like, what the fuck else do you want, you son of a bitch? I've followed the breadcrumbs. I've been listening to the fucking the frequencies and all this other shit that I believe. What the fuck are you trying to do, you asshole? And it was like 3 days later, I got booked on another gig. I'm like, thanks, bro. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I think.
Sorry, I snapped.
Well, no, that's what it is. The ups and downs, man. Like, if you were talking about time as like, you know, a web or whatever. But if you break time down to moments in your life, you know, you're going to have, it's like a sine wave. You're going to have the ups,
absolutely.
But then when the ups come, you have to be prepared for a down that is equal to that up because everything has to be at balance.
I was just about to say it's universal balance.
Has to be balanced. And so when you're having a down, the up is coming eventually. We don't know when it's going to come, but it will come eventually and it'll be equal to the down that you had.
Yeah.
So I think you can actually manipulate this if you think about it long enough. So one of the things that I do.
This is the conversation I've been fucking waiting for.
Yeah. So one of the things that I do to manipulate these things is whenever I park at my apartment, and people think I'm weird as shit for this, but I always park as far away as I can. Like I don't park anywhere near my apartment. And a lot of people are like, oh, he's so nice. You know, he's doing this because the older people live here. He wants to get them in their apartments. And I'm like, not really, but I'll take that. Thank you for that. Yeah. If you want me to say that, yes. But I'm really doing it because I'm adding a little bit of stress in my life.
Yeah.
Because that little bit of stress, it compounds over time. So if every single day I park as far away as I can and carry all my shit to my apartment and add that little bit of stressor, it's just going to build up over time. And that's when you're going to have success. Yeah. Because you're adding negativity in your life, which is going to have to come positively. And you can even look at it in a more like tangible way. If you look at muscles, you know, I go to the gym and I work out every day. I don't like to work out, but I go fucking put the work in every day and it builds these. Yeah. Like it builds a body. It builds a more resilient body. So you're basically building a more resilient life by adding stress into your life.
Two things about that. One, we need to get you a shirt that has these with arrows pointing to both biceps. Yeah. Just these.
I'll start selling them on
fuck yeah, dude. Yeah, that's definitely what you need to do. But no, secondly, I completely agree with this notion. Do I think we can warp reality like the fucking Jedi? Not exactly. Do I think people have done it in the past and it can be done? Yes. In some loose way of saying yes. But everything that we see, hear, don't see, don't hear, the things that are theoretically floating between the two of us right now in a whole nother realm, whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to believe, I think everything is malleable. Everything can be molded in some way, shape, or form to a degree. That includes your thought process. That includes how you perceive people, how you perceive yourself. You know, the whole parking away from your apartment. That's no different than me traveling for this year and been like, okay, I've been to another bar a couple of times. I'm not going to follow the GPS this time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to figure out how to navigate my damn self in this little area here that's very, congested compared to, spots over in Mississippi or whatever. And yeah, it's like, did I use the GPS today? Yeah, but it was like halfway through, I was like, I think I know where I'm at. Let's figure this out. And it on paper, that's like, okay, so you fucking used your brain and a map like we did before the internet. It's like, yeah, sure, yeah. But to me, it's like, okay, I just survived another 5 minutes or another 3 minutes, or I just built up a tolerance, if you will, for that negativity that will eventually come. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think it's definitely moldable and malleable, but I think we can only do so much until that higher self, for lack of better wording, until we can kind of fully elevate, if you will. But that's a whole nother thing, because then you start talking about the collective consciousness, and
let's talk about it.
Let's fucking talk about it.
Yeah, I actually, who was on the podcast? There was a guy on the podcast yesterday. I did a special podcast yesterday for a guy that's going out back to Chicago tomorrow.
Nice.
He was talking about, or we were talking about ideas, and I was telling him my thoughts on like meditation and where ideas come from. And I said that I believe ideas are simply photons. They're packets of energy, and they can be other things. Like I can tell you an idea, and it could be energy coming from my mouth and sound waves. But I think that like large ideas that have yet to be introduced into the collective consciousness, I think that that's where meditation comes in. Because if you look at the law of thermodynamics, it states that, energy cannot be created nor destroyed. So It's all here right now. It's just in different forms. So if you also take another law of thermodynamics, it states that if there's an object stationary and a moving object hits this object, then the transfer of energy happens and this object here is stationary. So if you take the mind, the brain, and you take a meditator, a yogi, and they can still the mind, they can completely quiet their mind, nothing in there. And these are like meditators have been doing this for years.
Yeah.
So you take a completely still mind. So you have that still object, and you take a photon coming down from space, coming down from stars, planets, whatever you want to call them. And you take this photon and you slam it into the brain. Now you have that idea in the brain, that packet of energy, or that packet of ideas in the brain.
Yeah.
So I think that's where like these new ideas that are part of the collective consciousness actually come in. And I think it's also why our society keeps people running all the fucking time, because it's impossible to take your mind and
our entire society, everything from our work schedules to our school schedules with children, everything is set up for you to not stop and smell the fucking roses.
Yeah.
Because it's like when I leave here, I'm going to go spend the rest of the day with my kids.
As you should.
Of course. But you know what I'm going to do with those two kids? We're going to fucking smell the roses. Whatever we end up doing, we're going to smell the roses. If I take them to a pizza joint, we're going to enjoy that pizza. We're not going to smash it real quick.
Have you taught them about meditation and stuff? Do you meditate?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. I started about 10-ish years ago. And it was one of those things where I did the whole like sitting with your legs crossed and, making a ritual out of it. And I'm not against that, but like it was the only way I knew how to do it.
Right.
And
you're following Western protocol.
Right. And somebody was like, okay, well, if your mind starts wandering, just come up with an image and go back to that image every time. And the first time it happened, I just pictured a tiger on a rock. And so I was like, okay, go back to the tiger, go back to the tiger, go back to the tiger. And so I would meditate and, I'd listen to the Great Bell Chant, listen to this other shit, be doing my thing. And then back to the tiger, back to the tiger. You're starting to think about other shit right now. Now, like I can pretty much fucking meditate almost anywhere at almost any given point. Now, I still have my emotions and, shit that goes on in the day, just like anybody else. So there are days where it's like, okay, I'm not even going to attempt right now. Maybe in 10 minutes I'll attempt, but today, right now in this moment, fuck it, But yeah, it's gotten to the point where I can pretty much meditate almost anywhere. Like I was meditating when I was holding the fucking boom for.
I feel like you have to when you're doing that because your arms are probably going to get freaking
Dude,
tired.
that's
as
a free fucking workout. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
that is a free. That is one thing I love.
If you've never held something over your shoulders, you don't understand how fucking hard it is. Even though it's a light pole too,
dude,
it's still just
it
hard as hell.
matter. Like there's anything like this long.
Yeah,
that's like say 2 pounds.
It's me when I go piss.
There you go. So you hold it out like this, and you not full on hyperextend, but you do like that. That's the least amount our arms are ever used is in a position like this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if you start holding something out like that
it's
for
tough.
a couple of minutes a day, eventually you're gonna be Popeye by the end of it. But kind of goes back to everything we've been saying. Everything is, you can tweak every little thing. You can.
So back to meditation though. Sorry to switch subjects. I do it all the time. I jump around everywhere. One of the things they tell you with meditation is to let go of all attachments. Mm-hmm. How do you navigate that with children? Because that's got to be a pretty big fucking attachment.
Yeah. Here's the answer. The best answer I can give you to that. And for anybody that knows me, doesn't know me, listening in, whatever, they might not get it, but me and my kids get it. And ultimately that's all that matters. You know what I mean? Do I think about those kids every waking minute? Absolutely. Are there times in my life where I have to shut that shit down just like anything else? Yes. There are times where I have to say, okay, my 2 children are fine right now. They're with their mom. They're fine right now. I'm going to go see them next week or tomorrow or whatever. Right now, I've got to focus on this. So because I have that, I guess the ability or whatever the fuck you want to call it to be like, okay, this is the problem. These are all going to contribute to it unless we deal with the root right here. I will zero in. So I kind of do
acting.
that.
I wonder if acting helps you with that. Because I mean, you're almost playing a character when you're meditating, and to play a character, you have to let go of all attachments you have to become that character. I
have felt still to this day, since doing those 2 leads back to back, I feel like people have been talking to 3 different dudes for the last 2 weeks. You got Stark, Jonathan, and me. And it's like, it's very weird. Like I still feel these motherfuckers like in me, next to me, right here. And it's like, sometimes I'll speak and I'm like, is that something I would really say? Or is that more of a Jonathan statement? Or is that more of a Stark movement? Both of these characters limp. I've got a spinal fusion. I've got nerve damage in my left leg. Sometimes it goes out. I have a cane because sometimes I got a limp. So the fact that both of these characters had limps, there was a lot of synchronicities with these characters. And that's why it's been a lot more challenging this go around to kind of like full on release them. Mm-hmm. Abandonment, loss, betrayal, death, love, addiction, all those things were like these little synchronicities with these 2 characters that I played, weekends back to back. Very little time to transition out of one and fully go into the other. I was still managed to do it, but like I said, they're floating around like bees in my head right now. And so past couple of days, I'll do or say something. And like I said, it's like, was that really... It's like, I know I'm speaking and I know I'm me, but was that really a fucking dusty thought that just came out? Because that didn't feel like a dusty thought. That didn't sound like a dusty comment, So it's been an interesting go around with this. But yes, I definitely think acting helps. I mean, we're all actors, even those of us who have never set foot in film, because it's like the Japanese say, you got 3 masks. Mm-hmm. You got the mask that everybody sees out in the world. Then you've got your secondary mask that your close friends and family sees. And then you have your solo mask that only you, not even your spouse or your children see. I definitely agree with that notion. And
I feel like I take a piece away from every one of the films that I do too.
Yes.
That's why,
yes.
I think it's why a lot of actors are crazy, because it weighs on your psyche if you actually go deep into the character.
And I went balls deep for both of these characters.
Yeah. Look at people like Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
Like he really went in deep and it fucking weighed on his psyche heavily. Like,
well, that's what my dad was worried about. Like I had to be very careful about how I worded all that shit to my dad, because he's very worried I'm about to pull a fucking Heath Ledger
for these films you just did.
Yeah. And I'm like, it's not that intense. It's intense, but it was like, it wasn't no like isolating myself in a hotel room for a month. And
I did that, dude.
I mean, I've done some shit to get into a role, don't get me wrong, but
very first film that I ever did, I was playing this guy who didn't have any family. He only had one family member. It was his brother. The rest of his family died horribly. And I have a great family. So I was like, I need to fill this.
Yeah.
So my birthday is in December, Christmas in December, New Year's in December. I would always travel home for those holidays and be with my family during that time. So I told them ahead of time, I was like, look, this year for Christmas, I'm not going to come home for any of those holidays. And I'm not going to speak to you guys until after January. Like after we get through filming in January, then I'll communicate with you guys again. And they were like, okay, whatever. So
Fucking freak, what are you talking about?
Yeah. So I spent the entire month of December, which is the first birthday I've ever spent away from my family, first Christmas ever spent away from them, all this stuff, alone in an apartment in a city away from them. And then we started filming immediately after in January, and I was in a weird fucking place.
Yeah.
And it took me a little while to get back from that one, but it was, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but if you've never done that, I don't recommend it because we need human connection.
Yes, of course.
But if you want to actually dive into the roles though, I think that's, to properly take on certain roles, you have to have those feelings. You have to have an arsenal of those feelings. So to put yourself in those situations as an actor is giving you an arsenal to draw from.
Yeah. And you also pull from life experience as well.
Yeah.
But no, I agree. I think it's a blend of both. It's a blend of, I'll put it to you this way, both Stark and Jonathan, I was able to use real life traumatic experiences that I either healed from, literally survived from, whatever. And then I took, okay, what is this character saying to me? Now, yes, of course, I'm looking at the script and reading his lines, but what is he really about? And then that's where that transitional meditative thing starts happening, where it's like, okay, all right, now I'm shaking hands with this motherfucker. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like now I'm shaking hands with this. Now I'm hugging this dude. Now I'm this dude who's Dusty. He ain't here right now. He'll come back. But right now I got to be this guy. It's a process. Like there's a lot of family that I have that does not understand it. And I don't expect them to, nor do I necessarily want them to. I mean, if they figure it out, cool, whatever. But it's like when I disassociate for a role, and I don't mean just like socially, when I like disassociate, I'm like, all right, it's time to shut this entity down and like, let's start working on our process and all that shit. Yeah, apparently there's still people up there because I keep saying we and us and all this other shit. It's so weird, man. The last 2 weeks have been so fucking weird for me because
the voices.
Yeah, it's like I feel like I'm fucking schizophrenic, rocking around, just be like, "Shut the fuck up! I don't want to hear that." She's like, "Yeah, well, we're gonna go down the street and grab a hot dog." It's like, who's we? You're by yourself.
I mean, eventually, man, you just get used to them talking to you.
Yeah, it's like I've gotten very used to it, and it's still weird, but I've gotten very used to just the buzzing.
My buddies and I were having this conversation about the inner monologue that we all have. And
did you know that some people actually don't fucking have that?
That's what I was going to say. We have one of our friends doesn't have an inner monologue.
Really?
And that's how we first got into the conversation. Because I read this off to them. I was like, did you guys know some people don't have an inner monologue? And the guy was like, what are you talking about? He's like, you guys have an inner monologue? And we were like, yes. And he's like, dude, I just kind of see like words. I don't see any. And what I said was, you guys just have a monologue. Like I have a fucking complete dialogue going off in here. Yeah.
We have full on conversations with people that insane, aren't physically fucking there. Yeah. But that they might be.
Man, that's my next guest, actually.
Hell yeah.
So, do you have social medias and stuff, Dusty?
Yeah, Facebook, Dusty Brown. It's like a crayon color, very, very hard to forget. Screaming Cicada Productions. We also have a Facebook page for that. Let's see, Instagram. It's Brother Nature with like numbers and shit. Probably hard to find, but Brother Nature. You'll find me eventually on Instagram if you.
They could probably search your name too, right?
I think so.
It might pop up.
It should, since it's linked to Facebook. I don't know.
I'll try to find all the links and put them in the podcast.
Yeah, I'll do some of that shit too and send you what I can send you just so you've got it. But yeah, man, I'm out there. My movie's on Amazon Prime. You can rent it for $3 and love it, hate it, rip it to shreds. Just be honest.
Dusty, I really enjoyed the conversation today, and I look forward to seeing where you go in the future. I appreciate you coming in, brother. We'll have to do it again
Absolutely, man.
soon.
Always.